Hello, welcome to Yin Yoga. And today our peak pose is going to be frog. And this is going to be kind of a frog two-part series. So this week we're going to do a more traditional one than I teach. And then next week I'm going to give you a different variation on that. So if you know that you need some blocks, a bolster, cushions, whatever have you to protect your knees or to support your body in frog, I would certainly bring those in. Outside of that, we're going to have a nice gratitude practice today, with it being Thanksgiving week in the United States at the time of this recording. So from here, find a comfortable seat. Now I'm sitting up a little higher on a folded blanket here. And I'm just kind of moving back and forth so my sits bones can be nice and rooted. And zip up from pubic bone to behind the navel, belly button is in, relax the shoulders, maybe a slight tuck in the chin. And we'll start to come into our practice here. Good, so let's take the fingers to the side, palms turning up. Inhale, reach, and reach. Turning palms away, grow taller from crown to tail as the arms come down. We'll do that again, palms up. Inhale, reach. This time, touch the palms together. Look up there. Exhale, hands in heart center. So you can always have your own intention, but there is the gratitude intention that I gave you. And I'll give you different prompts as we go along here. And then from here, once you have that set, we'll just relax the fingers down. So we're going to go into some alternate nostril breathing. So I'm going to take my right hand, and there's a couple ways you can do it. So you've got the, Star Trek, Live Long and Prosper, where you've got the ring finger and the pinky finger doing your left side, and then the thumb is doing the right side. Your other two fingers can be in the center. Some people like that. Some people like to take them all the way with the other fingers and just go side to side. So whatever feels good to you is what I would recommend that you do, okay? Don't get hung up on what fingers go where. Just breathe, you'll be fine. So we're going to inhale on one side, exhale on the other. We'll do a few rounds of that. If you've got a deviated septum, if you're pregnant, if you're congested or whatever, I would just breathe and not do alternate nostril breathing. So let's find that position that we're going to take. Let's get big exact. I'll get my words out, I promise. Big exhale to prepare. Good. Inhale. Good. Close the right nostril. Exhale left. Inhale left. Close left. Open right. Exhale. Inhale right. Close right. Open left. Exhale. Inhale. Close left. Open right. Exhale. Inhale. Close right. Open left. Exhale. Inhale. Close, open, and keep going here. Now, if you can, I can't do it and talk, but you can add the Ujjayi pranayama in here on your inhales and exhales. Big expansive breaths. This is a centering breath. And balances both sides of the body's energy. Good, and I'm opening right, exhaling right. Inhale right. Close right, open left. Exhale. Inhale. Release, breathe normal. Notice how you feel. And when you're ready, good. Just get some nice little rolls here and take it slow. And other side. Good. And when you're ready, we're going to take this into a child's pose. So this first child's pose that we're going to do this more traditional. So the Child's pose that I often do with arms forward, that's extended child's pose. We're going to do a more traditional one. Cushion the knees as you need to. Knees can be together as wide as the mat or somewhere in between. I'm going to take mine a little bit closer together. Good. And then if you need to have a block or something here for your forehead, you can. So I'm going to take that down and I'm going to take my hands by my ankles. I'm going to let the shoulders release. So in this position, my hips don't come back as far, and that's okay. Breathe here. So gratitude practice is a grounding practice. So what am I grateful for? What are you grateful for? It can be as simple as taking the time to do this practice for yourself today. It can be a whole host of other things. Good. Now from here, hands under the shoulders. We'll come back up. Now, if you can, take your knees a little bit wider. Take your arms long in front of you and breathe here. Now, if your shoulders don't want you to do that yet, you can take the hands back by the ankles here. Remember, active practice. We're zipping up from pubic bone to behind the navel. We're breathing and expanding. We've got that ujjayi going if we have it and we want it. If your arms are long in front of you, maybe walk those hands forward just a teeny tiny bit more. Good. Now, if this feels good, and this is where you need to be right now, stay right here a little bit longer. Those of us that want to move on, take your hands under the shoulders. We're going to lift a little bit here. Good. I'm going to take my hands back forward. I'm going to walk my hands over to my right. I'm going to walk the left hands forward. I'm going to let my hips come up just a little bit here. Press into the right hand, sinking towards the left side. Breathe and expand. Good. Carefully take a lift, come back to center, half or full child's pose here to reset that spine. And when you're ready, let me just move some props out of the way here. We'll take that to the other side. So I'm going to walk my hands over to the left now. Good. Walking my right fingers forward, lifting the hips a little bit, sinking towards the right side. Good. And then finding my side child's pose variation here. We're going to come back to your question. What are you grateful for? So it can be one thing, it can be multiple things. I have a gratitude section in my journal. And I usually fill up a couple pages with everything that I'm grateful for, because it just kind of grounds me a little bit and puts things into perspective before I start my actual writing. And then when you're ready, we'll come back up. Good. And we'll come back to center. Half or full child's pose here. Let's continue to loosen up the back just a little bit. So coming to all fours, spreading the fingers nice and wide, rooting through the knuckles of pinky, pointer, and thumb. Knees are under the hips, belly button is in. Inhale, shine that heart forward, tip that pelvis back, nice cow pose. Exhale and round madcap pose. Inhale, cow. Exhale, cat. Inhale, cow. Exhale, cat. One more. Inhale, cow. Exhale, cat. Good. Now from here, I'm just going to come back. I'm going to set myself up for dragons. Now my knees are a little bit wonky because it's cold outside. It was cold where I was all weekend. So I'm just going to come to a little blanket here for this next one, just so that my knee has a little bit more support. So we're going to prepare to come into dragons here. And this is that deep lunge. I'm just going to take this to the side here. And I'm going to use blocks because sometimes they're just nice to have to put on the brakes when we don't want to come too deep too soon. So I'm going to start by taking my right foot forward. Good. So now I'm in this lunge. I've got my blocks here. So I'm just going to kind of come forward. Notice how my knee is behind the hip. And then I'm going to come back. And I'm going to come forward and come back and forward. I think too, sometimes these dynamic movements before you come into a deeper hold are also a little bit beneficial here too. So you have options. You can be right here on blocks or on the floor. You can have a block or two on the inside of that foot if that feels good to you. You can take it onto forearms onto blocks or the floor. You can take this leg out wider. You can turn it into an external rotation, which is what I'm doing here. Hip, knee, and toe turn out away from the body, or you can about halfway kind of roll onto the edge if that feels okay. So we're going to be here for about 3 minutes. So start where you need to start. Now I'm going to start on my blocks, but I may not need that the whole time. And I'm breathing. So remember, this is an active practice. So even though I'm down on my forearms, or if you're even up on your hands, strong through the shoulders so you don't want to hang. So my shoulders are in their pockets here. This is hanging in the shoulders. Be strong. Back off and come to that first one that I showed you if you need to do that. Now I asked, what are you grateful for? Another way to say that or ask that is, what are my blessings? What are my blessings? Is it these practices? Does it have to be complicated? Good. So from here, if you're going to open that hip, knee, and foot out to the side, we're at the halfway point. So this is where you would do that. You do not have to do that. That's just an option. And if you need to make any other adjustments, if you need to add in a prop, if you need to take away a prop, which is what I'm going to do here. Belly button is in. We're breathing. Good. Now from here, if you went onto the edge of the foot, bring that foot back down. Carefully come up from forearms if you went there. Bring that leg back in line with the hip if you went out wider. And then from here, good, we're going to counter that with a half split pose. And we'll be here for 2 minutes. Let me reset my timer here. Good. So you want to find length. You want a little micro bend in this knee so it's not locked. Some of you may or may not need blocks here for support. That's okay. And this foot is up, so it's in flexion. The belly button is in. We're breathing and expanding. Shoulders in their pockets, so try not to hang and collapse here. Think of something you're grateful for or a blessing that you have that makes you smile. And then smile, relax the face. We're breathing. And then from here, when you're ready, good. Come forward just a moment, coming out of there, and then take that back. Good. Now, as you take that back, just come up here for a moment and just wiggle, wiggle side to side. Let the arms just do what they do. And the beauty of having two sides of the body means that we get to do it twice. So now we're going to get to do that again on the other side. So same as before. This time we're going to take the left foot forward. Good. And we'll take that little movement here too. So we'll just come in and back off. And come in and back off. And come in and back off. Good. Now we'll come back in. So remember, take it how you need to take it. For some of you, that might be right here. It might be 2 hands on the inside. Remember, your blocks are 3 levels, so adjust accordingly as you need them. You can take the blocks down if you're going to do what I'm going to do and take my forearms down there in a moment. Leg can come out wider. You can turn hip, knee, and toe out away from the body. And then if you want to roll onto the edge of the foot, we'll do that about halfway through. Good. And you can certainly come out down onto the forearms out the blocks too. It's just better for me today to have that support in the beginning. So breathe and expand. What are you grateful for? What are your blessings? What's one or a few of them that make you smile? The blessing that I'm finding now, I know it seems very superficial, but when I had COVID, I lost a lot of my hair. Now that hair is starting to grow back and the hair loss has stopped for the most part, other than, the normal hair loss that we have day to day. It doesn't come out in clumps anymore. So I'm grateful that that has stopped. And also kind of a little bit superficial here, but it also depends on your perspective. I'm grateful for every gray hair I have on this head. at 43 because for one, it's a piece of hair I haven't lost. And two, I have earned every gray hair that's on this head in one way or another, whether that's, marriage is great, but it's also not easy all the time. So you get gray hairs from that, you get gray hairs from kids, get gray hairs from going back to school and education, gray hairs because you go through different things. So I've earned every single one. For another way to look at that, I would rather have a bunch of gray hairs than no hairs at all. So if you haven't turned onto the edge of the foot here and you wanted to do that, you can do that here. I forgot to say that at halfway. Belly button is in tight. So from here, we'll roll that foot down. If you took the edge, we'll come up. We'll bring that leg back in if you went out wider. Good. And then from here, good, we're going to take that back to that supported half split pose here. And we'll do that for a couple minutes. Good. So you want to lengthen spine. Good. And a soft front knee. Now you don't have to hinge in here. If this gives you enough of a stretch, you can be here. So just kind of have some blocks here a little bit if you need that for balance. So always make it do with what you need to do, as long as it's not putting you at risk for injury. And then from here, we'll come back in for just a moment. Good. We'll take that foot and knee back, coming back up here. Just get a nice little rotation. Okay. Let's prepare the spine a little bit more for frog. So from here, I'm going to refold this blanket. I'm going to sit up on it. Good. I'm going to take one block forward here and the other block out to the side. We're going to come into caterpillar. This is going to be a 3-minute caterpillar. And remember too, if you need support, you can always have a bolster cushion or something like that here. You can open the legs a little bit if you need to do that, so you have support as you fold in. If you don't need that, no worries. And those of you that know that you can take your hands beyond your feet, if you want something a little bit more today, you can take a block in front of those feet. Good. And then from here, supporting under the knees if you need to do that. Big inhale, reach and lengthen. We're sitting nice and tall. Exhale, hinge and fold with a long spine. And when you can come no more with a long spine, then fold in. And breathe and expand. So I'm going to let my body naturally reach the edge of this block here. I'm not going to go too far too soon. So what am I grateful for? What are my blessings? How about how can I show more gratitude today, this week, this month, year, etc.? Gratitude and thankfulness and all that kind of stuff is not just seasonal. It should be daily. And from here, we'll carefully come out. You never just want to snap out of a caterpillar. And when you're ready, with a nice tall spine, we'll gently rotate in one direction and then in the other. Good. We're going to come onto our backs here for a supine windshield wiper and psoas opener. So I'm going to move my blanket here. I'm going to use that as a neck pillow. And then I'm going to come onto the back. And for some of us, just being here on the back after that caterpillar, I should take the timer with me. Just feels good. And while we're here, just take the feet as wide as your mat, or if you're not practicing on a mat, a little bit wider than hip width apart, and just let the knees go to one side and then the other, and just take a few rounds of that. And that should feel really good. And then when you're ready, we're going to take this into a 2-minute psoas opener. So from here, I'm going to let my knees drop to the right. My belly button is in. When I do that, my left hip is going to come up a little bit here. For some of you, this is going to be as far as you go. For others, you can take the right ankle on top of the left thigh. Now you want it to be on the thigh, not the knee joint here. And as you let gravity settle in, everything needs to be okay on that left side. So left low back, left hip, left knee, any funny business, you want to back off until you don't feel that. And we'll just breathe. And then from here, carefully undo. Come back to center. Get a little windshield wiper going here. Let everything reset itself. And when you're ready, we're going to take that to the other side. So starting at center, knees are going to fall towards the left. Your right hip will come up a little bit when you do that, as long as everything feels okay here. The low back, the hip, the knee, you can move on. If not, come out. If you're moving on, left ankle comes on top of the right thigh. Good. And again, as long as everything still feels okay, you can stay here. Otherwise, back off. Good. And then carefully undo. We'll come back to center. Wiggle, gentle windshield wiper side to side. And when you're ready, we're going to continue to prepare the back here, but we're going to do one more thing before we come onto our bellies. So just kind of grab the feet. Good. And then let the soles of the feet come together here. So a supine cobbler's pose for just a moment, letting the knees go out to the side. Finding length from crown to tail. Good. Now grabbing the shins, ankle, foot, or yogi toe. Leave your left foot where it is. Take your right leg out long for a moment. Good. And switching sides. And coming back. Good. Carefully release. We're going to roll onto our bellies. So we're going to take a sphinx or a seal for those of you that like seal. Now I'm going to do seal today, but those of you that want sphinx can certainly do that. So just a reminder, sphinx, forearms are down, shoulders are over or behind the elbows. You're pressing in and you're shining your heart forward a little bit. Legs are hip width apart. If you're taking seal, you can be as high as you can go here as long as you're not crunching in the spine. You can also have some support here under the pelvis if you need that as well. 2 minutes is all we're going to do here. So whenever you're ready, good, find yours. And those of you following me with seal, it works a little bit better if you take your hands a little bit wider and a little bit more forward of your shoulders here. Shoulders are relaxed in their pockets. So again, what am I grateful for? What are my blessings? Where could I find a blessing today, tomorrow, this week, this month, this year, etc.? Belly button is still in here to support the spine, no matter what version you're doing. Good. And carefully come out of there. I'm going to give you two options. You can come to a recovery position here and wiggle, wiggle, wiggle. Or if you're someone whose back might feel a little bit better, coming back into a child's pose variation, coming into a little bit more flexion, then take care of yourself and take that one. I'm going to come right here and recover. If you need to stay here longer, do so. Otherwise, hands under the shoulders, and we're going to come up here. So we're going to set up for frog now. So I'm going to take my blankets and I'm going to open them up because my knees need more cushion here. Good. I'm just going to take this a little bit more open, move those blocks out of the way. I'm going to do it in a double layer. So those of you that are practicing on carpet might not need as many layers or any layers at all, depending on your body's needs, but I'm on hard vinyl here, so I need extras. Okay, so from here, remember you've got other options as well. I'm going to start with a bolster. We'll see if I need the bolster the whole time or not. Definitely don't want to do this for too long, so have my timer handy. Okay, so from here, I'm going to start tabletop position. I'm going to go ahead and turn my feet out to the side because hip, knees, and toes are going to all be in that external rotation. So from here, I'm just going to let my knees just kind of slide out here. You want hip and knee to be in alignment, knee and ankle to be into alignment. And then you kind of go right before your edge and you want to pause there. Now I'm pulling my bolster in here. Good. So now I'm going to kind of come a little bit longer. That's going to feel better and more supported for me. And then from here, good. We'll go here for 3 minutes. Now, remember, you can also do one side at a time if you need that as well. We talked about gratitude, our blessings. How could you give a blessing to someone? And a lot of people, we live in a materialistic society, view that as, well, you need to get them a gift, you need to donate money, blah, 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 blah. And those things are great for different charities. What about the blessings you can give someone that doesn't cost any money? Kind words, encouraging words, nice notes. If you choose, I will give you the benefit of the doubt, you have a good reason, but if you tend to be a jerk to somebody this time of year for whatever reason, maybe for one day choosing not to act like a jerk and see how that blesses them that way. See how their opinion and behavior also changes, maybe. So how can you give a blessing to someone else? Maybe check in on them, see how they're doing. Okay, we are halfway. So if you need to turn the head or switch sides if you're doing half frog, we'll do that now. And so speaking of kind words, those of you that have supported me for years before COVID, during COVID, post COVID, I guess we're technically still in COVID, but you know what I mean, post lockdown COVID, following me, supporting me, subscribing to me, what have you. I truly appreciate each and every one of you. Every one of you is not taken for granted. So thank you so much. Good. And then from here, good. Carefully, carefully in the way that's best for you, which might not be moving how you're seeing me moving. Carefully take one leg long at a time. I'm going to roll over, not over, but off my bolster. And I'm going to come to another recovery position here. It's feeling that renewal of energy. It's now unblocked, that's moving through my body. Staying here longer if you need to, but when you're ready, carefully come back onto your back. We're going to take a hamstring stretch here and a twist before we end in Shavasana. So I'm going to start on my right side. I'm going to take my hands behind that right leg. I'm going to travel up as high as they can go. You might not reach your ankle, and that's okay. You might not reach your knee. You go where you can go. Good. And then you can choose to point and flex that foot. Keeping the foot in flexion will give you the maximum stretch. And we'll carefully release from that. Good. We're going to extend the left leg. We're going to bend the right knee. Left hand's going to come on the outside of that left leg, or right leg rather, and then we're going to twist to the left. Now, if this foot hanging here bothers you, fill that in with something. Fill in that space with something to make it more comfortable. And opening the chest, maybe looking to the right. How could you bring a blessing or show someone gratitude? And when we're ready, head will come back to center. Carefully take yourself back to center. Good. And then just let that knee just kind of swing in and out. Maybe a little circle. And we'll take that to the other side. So I'm going to switch my bolster over to the other side, knowing I will likely need it over there as well. Good. Hands come behind the left leg. Let them travel up as high as they can go. You can stay here. You can point and flex. And then when you're ready, we'll release. Good. We're going to put a bend in that knee. We'll lengthen the other leg. Right hand comes on the outside of the left thigh. And we're going to twist to the right. Good. So support that left foot if you need support under there. Breathe and expand. What am I grateful for? Something else you haven't thought of? And when we're ready, we'll come back into center, taking the knees into the chest, rock, rock side to side. Good. Now I'm going to roll over to my side here. I'm going to grab my other blanket that I haven't used. I'm going to use it as a neck pillow here as we go into Shavasana. And then I'm going to move my bolster under my legs as well. So feel free to bring in anything here that would make you feel good. Maybe gratitude that we have props in yoga. They are there to help us, not to be a crutch. And then once you're ready, see if you can make yourself about 10% more comfortable. And I'll leave you here to ponder gratitude as you drop into the heart space. Taking some deep breaths here. Choose stillness or gently take head and neck from side to side. Choose stillness or invite movement of fingers and toes. Choose stillness or invite the knees to come into the chest, choosing to keep your upper body grounded or maybe lifted into a full body hug. And choosing stillness or moving any props out of the way if you used any during your Shavasana time. Taking legs long in front of you, arms long behind you, and reach and lengthen from the edge of the fingertips to the edge of the toes. Point and flex through the feet. Bend and stretch through the hands, twirling wrists and ankles in one direction and then in the other. And from here, whenever you're ready, carefully bending in both knees, and you choose rolling over onto your right or left side, the side that works best for you in this moment. Taking all the time that you need here, and when you're ready, pressing yourself up to a comfortable seat where we started our practice, finding a nice tall spine, noticing how you feel. Fingertips to the side, big inhale, reach and lengthen. Exhale, hands on heart center. Coming back to that intention we made at the beginning of class, gratitude, one more time. We'll take thumbs to the forehead for good and true thoughts, to our lips for good and kind words, and to our hearts for open and loving hearts, knowing no effort on this mat is ever wasted, no gain is ever reversed. May you be safe, may you stay well, may you have a wonderful day, evening, week, and Thanksgiving season ahead. Namaste.